Okay guys, welcome back. We'll start here in the barn. We are getting ready to combine some clover seed with the AC72. I've never done this before, given necessarily a walk around the combine. I talked in the other video, about pulling the cylinder out a number of years ago after we had a major blow up on the cylinder. We put our last set of bars in there and we rebalanced the cylinder, and we took all the vibration out of it. So when you have these combines, and balancing the cylinder is very important. One of the other things I want to say is that when you combine red clover for extended periods of time, dust will build up on your cylinder bars. And as dust builds up on your cylinder bars, your machine tends to get a little bit out of balance. And so it is a good idea to keep the backs of those cylinder bars clear of dust. So the major modification that we did this year was that right there. So unique to the 72s, they carry a counterbalance spring under here that helps float the head. And if you are going to run a pickup head on the combine, you very definitely need two counterbalance springs. And so we have run with one counterbalance spring all these years, and the head would tend to bulldoze, but we did finally get that orange bracket there and then that lower spring. We actually got a new old stock spring. And so what we get on the head now is we get very good flotation. Very good flotation on the head. And so it will not carry weight on the shoes, and hopefully, well, we'll see here shortly how that helps out. But other than that, just a real quick walk around. We gave it its thorough greasing, checked everything, checked the air, just did a real thorough check over. One of the not so nice things about these old combines is they're built so light, but many things on this are just wear block applications, and so they do require a lot of grease. So it may not look like it, but there is a good, I don't know, hour and a half of greasing on this machine if you want to do it correctly. So we'll get started to the field now. Okay guys, we are in the field and we are having to do things a little bit differently. So I'm doing something I've never done before, and that is where the windrow's laid out flat. All of the rain, I don't know, probably lost count of like 5.5 inches of rain on these swaths. Maybe 4.5, I don't know, but we've had a lot of rain on them. And they were big, and the year has been wet anyway. And so we have been coming along here. I don't know if you can quite detect it, but coming along with the bar rake and policing up the row a little bit so that it will go through our smaller pickup. There is where I was going. And you can see on the side there's a little bit of that swath that I've dribbled off just because it's too wide and too low to pick up. The other bad thing about all this rain, it has brought on a lot of foxtail and clover, and there's a little bit of morning glory there. This pickup just plugged, and so I lift it up and let it clear and then set it back down. The springs, the extra flotation spring on the head is working awful good. Can't complain about that. But it's just a brutal year, and we're having to adapt. But anyway, by taking the bar rake and just pulling that edge up, not straddling the row, just going along the edge and touching up this edge. I have a clean edge to run against, and I am getting the clover picked up. I'll turn back around here, and there is the elevator. We can see the clover coming out. And so there is a real good seed crop here. It's just we're going to have to be a little bit innovative to get it actually picked up. So the other thing I wanted to say, I forgot to say it in the last clip, but we are going in first low multi-power. We're going as slow as the tractor will go. And on the speed chart, that's theoretically, you know, like 1.2 miles per hour. But by going slow, you know, we could be going a lot faster volume-wise. But by going slow, we give that ends pickup time to pick up. It's pulling that swath literally out of the weeds. And the ends needs to have time to, you know, break that free without pulling an excessive amount of green stuff in with it. And so, slow and painful combining, but when you have a good clover crop, it's worth it. It's not a question of volume, it's a question of being able to feed it. Having to do is come out here with the bar rake. I'm running relatively fast, relatively low RPMs. Show you on the bar rake here. I've got the bar rake swung over the absolute maximum amount that it will swing over, so that I'm trying not to drive on the swaths. And what I am in effect doing is I'm turning about 2/3 of the swath here and popping it up. And so yes, I am losing some heads, but not too bad. There's still clover here. You know, this is what we are having to do to feed the Allis Chalmers combine and to keep it running. So there is moisture down here in the ground. It's just wet underneath there, just wet as can be, mud. And so, you know, this is the first time I've ever had to do this, and part of the reason is the wet year. You know, the rain never shut off. Typically you would get a dry period in August where you could make your red clover. Well, that never really happened this year. Okay, we are grinding away on the field that I was raking on the other day. The big bottom, there's the pretty sorghum field ahead of us. So, in this field, the clover was a little bit heavier, and I am leaving more of it on the ground. But I want to show you what's happening on the bin. So let me zoom back out here. Even though I'm leaving more of it on the ground, it's rolling out like I have never seen clover roll out before. And so things are pretty good. I had a technical difficulty. These swaths are so big and there's still parts of them that are heavy, and so I had a technical difficulty. I tried to adjust. There's a variable speed pulley on the throat there that adjusts the pickup speed, and I'd never adjusted that pulley before. So anyway, I attempted to adjust it, and it's cast and it shattered. And so it was running. It had a diameter of 4 3/4. And so today, well, that's what it was set at. Well, that was the position that it was frozen. So this morning I had to do an emergency run to the farm store and build a new pulley. And of course, in that configuration, the B-Series pulleys, all they had was 4.5 and 5. And so I put on a 4.5-inch pulley. Well, the net result of that is the pickup is turning a hair slower, and because the pickup is turning a hair slower, it is having to work just a little bit harder to pop the swaths out of the growth. And anyway, the good thing is it's knocking off fewer heads. The bad news is that by turning a little bit slower, every now and again, it will try and grab something green and it will plug. Instead of just flipping through it and breaking it free, it's working a little bit slower. But the ground speed is the same as it's been. It's as slow as I can possibly make it. We're moving along at that blazing pace. Yeah, you can walk faster than the combine's running. But boy, the clover is rolling out. I can't say as I've ever seen red clover roll out that thick. And so I guess I shouldn't be complaining. I'll just keep grinding away. This field is, well, it's 26 acres, and so it will probably be broken apart into 3 bites and maybe 4 bites. The clover, we've been having these cool evenings and these heavy dews, and when we do that, you can't hardly start combining until you know, 1:30, and then it starts to cool off in the evening, probably about 7 or 7:30. You can really only get, you know, 6.5, maybe 7 hours of running in a day. And at 1.2 miles an hour, that means you don't cover a whole lot of ground. Okay guys, day 4 machine maintenance. So I was trying to adjust the variable speed pulley on the pickup, like I said in the video, and it broke, and so we had to go to the farm store and build that. And there was a major amount of rigging on that because that sleeve is an extended thing, so we had to cut the thing and we had to put a bunch of shim washers in there, but we got the pickup back together in 1 speed, and unfortunately it's a little bit slower. We were aiming for 4 3/4 and we wound up with 4.5. But we have been greasing the machine. This, part of that maintenance is taking out the screen, and if you see there, this is a 1/12 screen. So this is the correct screen for red clover. A lot of machines run a 114, but a 114 is not the right screen. That's the combination, so your clover comes out very ugly. If you want your clover to look like this, and for the AC combine to work at its full potential, you really need that 112 screen. So, going through the morning routine, greasing it, cleaning the screen. One other thing that I would mention is AGCO still makes the large belt on the back here. Get out here and get a frame of reference. That huge belt there that loops all the way around. Our belt was getting pretty frayed, so we were able to get a new belt from AGCO. Thanks for that, Jim. But when you go to put this new belt on, this idler right here, it was down in those bottom holes. But there's 1 position, 2 position, there's 3 positions there that you can put the idler to correctly tension the chain or the belt, and we did have to go into the middle position, had to change that. But just about ready to run for another day. Okay, we are back running, and we got Lieutenant Dan pushing them up ahead of me. Ideally, we would have them down for flipped up for a day, but that's not the case. Just the way the day is working out. So his sister was raking alfalfa a little bit ago, and he finally got his tractor back. Anyway, we're into the long rows, and we got a fair amount of ways to go yet. But look at that clover rolling out. Clover is rolling out good, and with the rake job here, it's feeding good, and so we'll keep grinding away in the big bottom. Okay guys, we're still grinding away. There's the money shot. Beautiful bed of red clover. And I just wanted to share with you, I'm going to open the back window here and you can hear what an Allis Chalmers combine sounds like when it's running. Thankfully, there off in the distance comes the bag man. There goes the bag man. We also today have Brother Jesse mowing under his fence. He's going to have to build a little fence here, but he's got to get the cows out here to keep them out of that forage sorghum field. So we are moving along.